Hey YouTube, Sandyfrank here. This week's episode of Friday Fun. I'm pretty excited about this video. I'm putting more work into this video than normal videos because I love Star Wars. And I wanted to, I just finished watching the Acolyte series on Disney Plus, and I thought, man, this is a great time to do like a ranking, like of my ranking of my favorite, what I think were the best of the Star Wars Disney Plus shows. So I'm not going by, what everybody else thinks. This is my opinions on what I think, and I'll tell you why I think of each one, why I think of where I rank them. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start it off. Number 8, we're going to count down. So this is my least favorite of all of the Disney Plus. And this is only live action shows, by the way. Not including animated shows. This is only the live action TV series. And there's been 8 so far. And there's several that are still in the works. But when I shot this video, the Acolyte had just finished. And coming soon was Skeleton Crew. So I have not... this is going to be before Skeleton Crew came out. Alright, so number 8, I had to go with The Book of Boba Fett.
I'd be careful where I was sticking my nose if I were you.
Okay, so I'm going to try to put like a little highlight of some of my favorite things from each of these shows. But The Book of Boba Fett, I put this as number 8 because of how they finished it. I kind of liked what they were doing. It had a lot of things I didn't like. I really hated the mod crew. I don't know why I didn't like them very much, but I thought their little bikes, their little motorcycle things were pretty cheesy, even though they do have kind of like motorcycle type looking vehicles in Star Wars, like the biker scouts, and then Anakin rode around on that biker speeder thing. But man, those mod crew little colorful bikes they had just didn't do it for me. I wasn't buying it as something in Star Wars. A lot of people didn't like the Twi'lek mayor assistant, wherever that guy was, Major Domo. But I liked him. He was okay. Was a little bit annoying, but I didn't mind him. Some people hate that character, but I thought he was kind of funny. And this series did bring us live action Cad Bane, which was amazing. Now, as you watch that series, it's so painfully obvious that they were wanting to do a second season, and then Disney executives stepped in and said, no, you're not doing another season, wrap this up. And by the way, they shoehorned Mandalorian stuff into this series, which the Mandalorian episodes in this were pretty good, but this was another Disney stepping in, because Mandalorian Season 2 ended with little Grogu going off to become a Jedi, to go into training to be a Jedi. And I think the Disney execs were like, you're getting rid of little Grogu? What's he going to do in the next season? And Filoni or Favreau probably told him he's not going to be in next season. Next season is going to be about Mandalore. And there's no really good way to have Grogu in there. So we're going to have him off training. And Disney stepped in and said, no, Grogu will be in Season 3. And so they had to scramble around, write Grogu into Season 3, and they had to shoehorn these 2 Mandalorian episodes into Book of Boba Fett to explain why little Grogu isn't off training anymore. And it really, sidetracked the vision of the show. And the fact you look at the next to last episode of Book of Boba Fett, it was great. It was setting up season 2 fantastic. I mean, it was ending with Cad Bane coming onto the scene. And then the last episode, which I think they just were like, we have to wrap everything up. I think the season was meant to be 6 episodes. So that 7th episode, they just had to cram everything they could to try to wrap up a story that was not meant to be wrapped up then. And that episode was awful. It was so crammed up. It didn't make much sense what they were doing with the show. They killed off Cad Bane. I mean, it was very frustrating. So that's the main reason why I put Book of Boba Fett as my number 8. Man, this is going to be a long video. All right, number 7. Mandalorian Season 3.
Bad baby. No, it's crazy.
He's too little to operate this.
No. So what do you think?
Grogu is too young to operate heavy machinery.
No.
What do you mean, no?
No.
I think he's saying he's old enough to operate it.
Yes.
Get him out of there.
No.
Come on. Hey.
Would you look at that?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Okay, so I put Mandalorian Season 3 here. This is by far the weakest of the Mandalorian seasons. And another reason why is you can tell Disney execs stepped in and made them change the story to shoehorn Baby Grogu, Baby Yoda into the story, where he should have been off trained to be a Jedi. And it just, there was like, he just did not need to be there. And you can tell they wrote the season expecting him not to be in the main story. And then Disney told them, no, you're going to have Grogu, Baby Yoda in the season. And so they made this ridiculous IG-11 carriage for him to walk around in, which ended up, it was kind of cool what they did with it. But it's obvious he was not supposed to be in that season. And I love little Grogu. I mean, there he is right there. Little Grogu, but was very shoehorned into that season, and it just didn't make sense. And the story was just not as compelling as the other seasons of Mandalorian. I think they are doing a Mandalorian Season 4, which I'm interested to see where they go next. But it was definitely a weak series. Not a lot of memorable moments from that series. It was cool at the end, this Grand Moff Gideon stuff, but you know, with all the cloning stuff going on, was that actually Grand Moff Gideon that died at the end, or was it just some clone of him? You know, who knows? They kind of lost it a little bit in that series, in that season. All right, number 6, The Acolyte.
We make a great team. I will destroy you if I must.
Okay, I put The Acolyte number 6. This could have been way higher, but there's a lot of things in this series that I didn't like, but they did put some money into this series. You could tell it looked really good. The special effects were fantastic. I loved the quality of the cinematography was fantastic. The writing was terrible, the story, like the focus of the story, I think was way off. I think this would have been way better if they went a different direction with, like, I feel like more than half of all Star Wars fans could have wrote a better story than what they came up with. And this era is rich for great storytelling. I mean, you have the Jedi Order, you have the Sith behind the shadows, and there was really interesting fodder there to make an amazing season, an amazing story. And I mean, you had I can't remember the actor's name that played Soul. He's fantastic. He's a great Jedi. They ruined his character pretty much. Just really strange decisions that they made in this series that, you know, a little tweak here and there and it would have been amazing. Yeah, there's all kinds of people that are so much better explaining why this series didn't work. But to me, I think if they would have had someone that maybe is more in tune with Star Wars doing the show, because you could tell this person that made this show wasn't quite in tune with Star Wars, like, you know, some of the other, like a Dave Filoni or Favreau. You know, you could tell the creator of this show was not quite as I don't know. It's hard to explain. It just didn't feel right. Like the Jedis didn't feel right at all. I did really like the Sith guy. It was very interesting they threw Darth Plagueis, and that's been confirmed that Darth Plagueis appeared in this episode. But it was almost like they put a lot of good stuff right at the end to try to hope that they get a second season. And from what I understand, I don't think they're going to get a second season. And it stinks because maybe you might have burned some potentially really good stuff in kind of ruining that show. But there's a lot of really good moments too. Don't get me wrong. That's why I put it 6. I I enjoyed it, but I was like, man, this could have been so much better. So I can't put it any higher than 6th. All right, number 5. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Have you come to destroy me, Obi-Wan?
I will do what I must.
Then you will die.
Alright, so there's a Obi-Wan Kenobi 10 over here. They actually did a top set of that show. I loved Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you might say, well, why is it number 5? I think for some reason, like if they would have put the budget that they put into Acolyte into Obi-Wan Kenobi, it would have been better. But like some of the special effects were really cheesy, even for me that's not a filmmaker. They look, you know, not as good. I'm not sure why they didn't put more into the special effects into that show. I didn't mind the young Princess Leia angle they took with it. It's just they had some cheesy scenes like where she was getting chased around and these guys could not catch a little kid running around the forest. That was an annoying scene, but she was really good. She did a good job. She convinced me that she could be a young Princess Leia. But you know, as the Reva, the fact she got stabbed in the stomach with a lightsaber and survived, those types of things annoy me. It's like, you know, we've been taught that the lightsaber, that's a death strike. And they did it 2 times. The Inquisitor was fantastic. I believe that he was the Inquisitor. But he got stabbed. And he survived, but there was some supposed, like, their stomach isn't like, come on. don't stab people with lightsabers in the stomach and have them live. You know, that things like that push this series down, and the weak special effects budget. But man, it was so awesome seeing Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor back at it as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. You know, I love the series still, but you know, it's just technically not up there as high as some of the other ones. So, a series I liked, but had some issues I didn't really care about that much. All right, moving on to number 4, Mandalorian Season 1.
Oh no. Bounty droid.
Subparagraph 16 of the Bondsman Guild Protocol waiver compels you to immediately produce said asset.
Okay, so Season 1 Mandalorian was really good. You could tell some of the acting was not as great as some of the later series would become, but this laid the groundworks for a really good series, and it was a really good job. I was really happy to see Pedro Pascal playing Mandalorian. He was, I mean, I don't know how much he actually did with it. A lot of step-in actors doing the. He did voice work, of course, and some scenes, but there was other scenes that he was not there for. But I believed it was The Mandalorian. Good storyline. The really interesting. I was really shocked when they brought Baby Yoda in there. Really interesting twist that, you know, it worked. And that's when the show really took off, is when they got Baby Yoda into the mix. I have spoken they had, and this is the way. You have phrases from that show that have stayed on and been very cool, like iconic pop culture phrases. So that show is great. Lots of great characters, good storyline. This is the first time we ever got to see this era of Star Wars in between Return of the Jedi and Episode 7. So it was good. And it laid a really good foundation. And not every episode was great, but it was a good season. And that brings us to number 3, Ahsoka.
Live? Or die?
I won't fight you.
I've heard that before.
Okay, so I probably rank Ahsoka way higher than most people do, but it's because Ahsoka is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. She's awesome. I loved the introduction of Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. She came into the Mandalorian series, and we got to see, okay, Ahsoka's in live action. And I was really looking forward to this show, but I was a fan of Rebels. And I see some criticisms of this show is like, if you haven't seen Rebels, you're not going to know what in the world's going on. And I think there is some of that to that. I feel like you do really kind of need to watch Rebels before you watch Ahsoka, because there's a lot of these characters that mean a lot more if you've watched Rebels. And it was so cool seeing Hera, live action Sabine, you know, live action Ezra. It was great. I mean, fantastic. I loved the show. I loved the, I don't know if it was a Force vision or whatever, when Ahsoka I don't know if she died or was just having a Force vision when she was down the water, with the flashbacks to the Clone Wars. Oh man, there's so much good stuff in this series. And it kind of ended a little strange, but I was there for every step of the journey. You know, Sabine, there is a lot of criticisms of Sabine. How is she, you know, a Jedi? Well, that's the one thing. Is like, I'm not sure what would Ahsoka train Sabine. And Sabine was very old when she first started training. She was an adult, basically. It was kind of cool that she didn't have hardly any Force ability, but it was annoying that she was able to kind of go toe to toe with oh man, what's the Jedi, blonde Jedi, or blonde Sith, dark Jedi, Shin Hati or whatever. But she should have died. She got stabbed in the stomach with a lightsaber. That's very annoying. You shouldn't be able to live through that. I didn't want her to die, but they shouldn't have had her get stabbed in the stomach with a lightsaber. I mean, and live. That's just a little nitpicky thing that they've done this in Disney now on several shows. You get stabbed in the stomach and you live. And she barely was down. She was maybe laid in bed for a day and was 100% okay. So that was a little dumb. But overall, love the show. I liked the planet and this other galaxy where they end up. But again, you see why they're over there if you watch Rebels. And you understand, like, and you got to see live action Grand Admiral Thrawn. A lot of cool stuff. All right. Number 2. Mandalorian Season 2. Okay, Mandalorian Season 2 was by far the best of the Mandalorian series. You could tell they put a lot more money into the special effects. Great story. This is peak Mandalorian. If Season 4 can get back to something like this, I would be very excited. This is just great. It was the Grogu and little baby Yoda and Grogu and the Mandalorian on their adventures. That's the best part of the Mandalorian, is just watching those two go on their weekly adventures. Kind of like every week's a different story. It really was fun. Some really good episodes. I really loved the Crate Dragon episode. I think that was the episode 1 of the season. Some great characters that we got to see. You got to see Boba Fett kind of come back into play there. Just really cool. Hats off to Season 2. I mean, there's really no negatives to that season. It was well written, well acted. I don't even remember any negative stuff. I'm sure if you got really nitpicky, you could find some things you didn't like. But it was great. It was Star Wars candy. I loved it. All right. My number 1. You probably, if you looked at your list of Disney Plus series and which one I haven't done, it's kind of universally picked this as number 1. And I agree 100%. Andor.
Something broken. What's he saying?
Level 2.
He's coming this way around now. Well, what's he saying? What was that?
What is that? It's nothing. Someone didn't load in. They are counting.
So they cut the power?
What do you think's happening?
It's 2. Something's wrong on 2. They're going too fast. I can't read it.
Everybody calm down!
Something's really wrong on 2.
You haven't got a clue what they are saying. Level 2, far side. Level 2. Are you all scrambled or something? It takes a week for one word to get all the way up here, and you're panicking about something that's happening on the other side of the building. How many hands does it take for one word to get through up here?
It's a long way, Keno, yes, but you've got to...
Stand in place, on program, feet down, face front, hands on heads. We will have immediate facility compliance or we will begin activating floors without warning. Bridges on program will have their doors open. All shifts will proceed immediately to their stations.
Oh, this Andor series, I kid you not, when I saw like a list of the different series they were coming out with, I would have put Andor at the very bottom of the ones I was like, of ones I was excited for. But man, was it good. And it's by far the best of all the Star Wars series on Disney Plus. And strangely, it's one of the ones that does not use any type of Jedis or Sith. This is just a great Star Wars story. Diego Luna, so good. He's a great actor. You had top-notch writing, top-notch acting. It was a long season. I think it was 12 episodes. The episodes were not too short. They're nice, meaty episodes. And they kind of did it really cool. Like, 3 episodes was like a mini movie. You know what I mean? If you put them back to back to back. And then the next 3 were... It was just fantastic. I loved Andor. And man, the prison episodes were so good. Andy Serkis, who knew that he was this awesome as an actor in Star Wars? One of my favorite characters from the show for sure. Kino Loy. So good. Do yourself a favor. Go watch Andor. Even though it's probably the least exciting sounding series, it is by far the best. And it adds so much to Star Wars. Like, you look at the Acolyte, kind of takes away from Star Wars in a way. Like, kind of weakens the Jedis if you only watched, your only Star Wars that you ever watched was the Acolyte, you would hate the Jedi. They're almost like villains in this show. To me, that takes away from Star Wars. But Andor adds so much to Star Wars. You look at Mon Mothma, for instance. A character that, before Andor came out, is very a bland character. She's a very important character in Star Wars, but just kind of very bland, not much to her, kind of boring, But in Andor, you see her coming to power and getting the rebellion started, and Genevieve O'Reilly plays Mon Mothma, and man, now Mon Mothma is a much better character in my eyes after seeing more of her backstory and the things she had to do, sacrifices she had to make. That's just a tiny little grain of one of the reasons why I love this show, because it adds to Star Wars, makes Star Wars better. You go back and watch Rogue One or Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi, where you see more of Mon Mothma and you realize more about her character, where she came from, instead of just some lady that's running the show that it's kind of boring, So, fantastic job. I love Star Wars. These little mini-series that add to the story. And I will say, another reason why I put Obi-Wan Kenobi down farther than I did, than I would have thought I did, was because of the way, I mean, I'm like backtracking here to my number 5, but that show dangerously could have hurt Star Wars, where Reva makes contact with the Skywalker, or with the Owen Lars and his wife. That, when they do stuff like that, it potentially hurts the franchise, because then things in the original Star Wars don't make as much sense. So, you know, things like that put that show farther down, whereas like, okay guys, you didn't have to do that part of the story that potentially brings up questions. It didn't add to Star Wars. Maybe some of the Darth Vader and Obi-Wan stuff did, but it made me nervous when they were going to some of these other things, like going. They should have not brought Reva over to Owen and Aunt Beru. But back to Andor. Andor did none of that. It only added to Star Wars. Guys, maybe I'm wrong. Was there something in Andor that you thought took away from the story of Star Wars? What do you think? What's your list look like? What was your favorite, and what was your least favorite of the Disney Plus series to this point? And, you know, guess what? They're going to do a season 2 of Andor. I'm excited about that, which I wouldn't have been if I wouldn't have watched Andor season 1. They're doing a Mandalorian season 4, and they're doing this Skeleton Crew, which I don't know anything about the Skeleton Crew story. But I'll definitely be watching, and maybe in a couple years we'll do another list, and we'll see where the shows rank, because rankings can change over time. You know, they're doing a second season of Ahsoka too, which I'm very excited about. Anyway, tops, make an Ahsoka set. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos later.
While I can't touch and I cannot lie, you are the brothers I can't deny.